Hello, good evening. We are going to give people a minute or two to join the live stream and then we will get started. I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the chat since I am unable to share my screen on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and post the slideshow in the chat, so you are welcome to follow along there as I go through. Glad to hear there's some excitement out there. I've never used YouTube Live, so bear with me. This could be interesting. Thank you for joining. I'm glad you're here. Like I said, we will give everyone a minute or two, probably maybe get started around 6:47, 6:48, so everyone can have a chance to join the live stream. I've posted a link in the chat to the slides I'll be reviewing. So unfortunately, I realized too late that I can't screen share on YouTube without downloading a specific software. I downloaded the software and I'm very confident that I could use it, but I wasn't able to apply it to this link since I already created it. So rather than start a whole new link to get everyone confused, I just went ahead and shared the presentation. So you'll just watch me kind of go through it and you can follow along at that link if you'd like. And we will get started in maybe one more minute. All right, it's 6:48, so I've given everyone about 3 minutes to join the live stream. If someone in the chat can just confirm that you guys can hear me, that would be great. Otherwise, I will go ahead and jump in. So as I mentioned, I realized too late that I can't screen share. So if you click that link, it'll show the slides that I'm going to go through this evening. This shouldn't take too long. I've got a pretty short presentation. I do have some time for questions. I'm glad you guys can hear me. I'm sure that's like the number one question on Zoom or on these live streams is, you're muted or we can't hear you. So I want to make sure at the beginning. But if you want to follow along the slides, you can. I will start with an introduction. So my name is Brittany. I am the Transition and Retention Coordinator for Missouri College Advising Corps. What that means is I help students from our partner schools across Missouri as they transition from high school into college or career or trade school or military or whatever their life after high school might look like. A little bit more about me as a person and as a retention coordinator. I grew up in House Springs, Missouri, which when I say that, most of you probably don't know where that is. It is about 30 minutes south of St. Louis, kind of like a rural area. I was a first-generation college student when I went to college. I went to University of Missouri-Columbia, otherwise known as Mizzou. I got a major in interdisciplinary studies, which if you have questions about that, hit me up. I love to talk about it. And then I also got a minor in human development and family studies. And after that, I stayed at Mizzou and completed a master's of social work and a master's of public health. Some more fun things about me. I'm a dog mom, so you might hear my dog barking throughout this or my neighbor's dog's barking. I'm a huge sports fanatic. I'm actually getting pretty excited for the Chiefs game this Sunday. Blues play tonight. Mizzou Tigers women's basketball plays tonight. So I'm just all over the sports map, sports spectrum. I'm kind of a runner, you would say. I've ran a half marathon and a marathon. I'm hoping to run more in the future, but I'm also just a fitness enthusiast. So I like lifting, I like going to the gym, I like staying active. I enjoy cooking a lot, which kind of balances out that fitness side. Musical theater. I'm actually really excited. I'm going to go see Wicked tomorrow night for the third or fourth time. I'm a big morning person. So if you are one of my students and you're ever texting me, if you text me in the morning, you're more likely to get a response. I'm a big morning person, and I'm a coffee connoisseur, so I love to drink coffee. If you would like to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, this is my handle on both in the chat. When I am on social media for work, I post any scholarships I come across. I'll share links about things, events like this. When I get back to doing campus visits for students, I do that. Later, I'm going to talk about FAFSA help, which I post about. So if you are on Twitter or Instagram, that is where you'll find me posting hopefully things that will be helpful. So after that somewhat long introduction, if you want, you are welcome to post in the chat where you're joining from or what your connection is. But I will continue on. So for some of you, if you are one of the students I text, you know that I offer free virtual one-on-one FAFSA assistance. If you're not one of my students, that's fine. I work with students all over the state, just making sure that they get the help that they need. And part of that is ensuring FAFSA completion, which is the free application for federal student aid. Missouri has a priority deadline of February 1st, so that will be coming up soon, and that will be for the 2022-2023 school year, so that will start in the fall, but you have to have it completed ahead of time. If any student ever needs help completing it, or if any parent needs any help completing it, you can make an appointment with me at this link. I will post it in the chat, and I'll be happy to help you. So I've got appointments all the way up until that priority deadline to help students and their families complete the FAFSA. So please feel free to make an appointment with me or share it with someone you know that might need help. I'm happy to help anyone that needs it. Oh, exciting. From Michigan all the way. So we will go ahead and jump right into SMART goals. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with SMART goals or if any of you guys are big goal setters. I like to set goals for myself. It keeps me accountable, holds me on track. When I don't have goals or when I don't have a to-do list or I don't have something to like lead the way, I just feel scatterbrained and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So goals are a really good way to help me stay accountable and keep my focus. And one way I like to do that is through SMART goals. So S.M.A.R.T. It's an acronym. And each different letter is going to stand for something you need in that goal. So for instance, the S is specific. So your goal needs to be specific. What do you want to do? What specifically is your goal trying to achieve? M stands for measurable. So how are you going to measure that goal? How are you going to know when you achieved it? If your goal isn't measurable and it's just kind of empty, you'll never really know that the goal was completed. But just because it's measurable doesn't mean that you're good to go. It also has to be achievable. So you can't have a goal that is something you've never done before or something that is impossible. You have to have it in your power to accomplish that goal. You want it to be something you can physically achieve. And that also ties into the R, which is realistic. So you want that goal to be realistic, something that's like actual possible for you to do. So like, for instance, it's probably not very achievable nor realistic for me to make $1 million in one day. Now, sure, if I scratched off a lucky scratcher or if I won the Powerball, maybe, but that's not very like realistic. So you want to make sure that your goals are something that you can actually accomplish and that they're timely. So the last letter in SMART goals, the T, stands for timely. So when exactly do you want to accomplish it? And that's important because if you just have this open-ended goal of, I want to be a nurse. Well, when do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be a nurse by next year? Do you want to be a nurse in the next 5 years? Do you want to be a nurse that works with kids? Do you want to be a nurse that works with the elderly? So that specific component. So there's a lot of different things at play that comes to when it comes to setting goals that can really help make sure that your goals are going to be easily achieved. So I'll pause there and just reintroduce myself for anyone new that joined. My name is Brittany. I am the College Transition and Retention Coordinator for Missouri College Advising Corps. I help students transition from high school to life after high school, whether that be college, military, trade school, technical school, career, anything like that. and we are discussing SMART goals. So we just got started right on the SMART part of the presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and give an example because I think in examples and I like to know exactly how something's going to work. If you guys can think of an example, you're free to type it in the chat. But an example I have that I think applies to most of you guys or most students is one about scholarships. So the goal is by the end of the semester in May, I will have applied to at least 10 scholarships. So by the end of the semester in May, I will have applied to at least 10 scholarships. So the reason that is specific is because it applies to scholarships. It's exactly stating what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So it's measurable because it's 10 scholarships. I think 10 scholarships is probably achievable because some scholarships may only take 5 minutes, some might take longer. It's pretty within reach. It's realistic. If you're a student, you probably should be filling out scholarships. So that's pretty realistic for you. And 5 months, if you were starting out for 10 scholarships, is still within your reach. Also, it's within your power to accomplish. And by the end of the semester, so that time-based goal, ending it in May. Because if I just said I want to apply to 10 scholarships, I could do that all year long and I won't have an end. So when do I know I've achieved the goal or when do I stop? Now, you never really stop applying to scholarships, but like I said at the beginning, if you give yourself a goal to apply to 10, you're more likely to want to achieve it than if you're just like, oh, I should apply to scholarships. So again, setting goals is what's going to help you stay accountable and kind of make sure that you are actually progressing towards achieving your goals. Whereas if you're just kind of not specific and you just have things you want to do, you might not be as motivated to complete them. So real quick, I will just review what we talked about before I get to the question segment. So we talked about SMART goals. Again, S is for specific. So what specifically do you want to achieve? M is for measurable. So how do you know you've achieved it? A is for attainable or achievable. So it needs to be something that you can physically do. So I'm trying to think of a good example of something you couldn't achieve. Me personally, what's something I could not achieve? I'm trying to think of something fitness-based. Nothing's coming to my mind, but like I said, it needs to be attainable or achievable and realistic also. So it's not realistic for me to go to the moon. Me personally, that's not very realistic. I don't have any astronaut backgrounds or anything of that nature. So that's probably not a very realistic goal for me. And then T, it needs to be timely, so time-based. So set a time on it. And you want to make sure that time base is tied into that realistic part because it might not be possible for me to make $1 million in one day, but it could be realistic for me to achieve $1 million in wealth by the time I pass away. That could be realistic. That's kind of a weird goal, but you know what? Money makes the world go round. So that could be a goal for you if you're wanting to do that. If you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the questions section. So if you have any questions, whether that be about goal setting, SMART goals, college stuff, who I am, anything about my role, anything about the FAFSA, anything at all, I will open up the chat and you guys are welcome to ask me any of your questions, or if you have any comments about this, I'll just take about a minute or two for the chat to be open. If anyone has any questions. Good time for a water break. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. There's no silly questions. So like I said, it could be about anything, my role or about goal setting. If you're not sure, still confused about how to use the SMART method. That's a good question. So how can one make sure to keep goals? I actually write my goals down, especially on like paper, or what can be really fun is like people have these new like bullet journal. Well, not really new. They've been around a while, but like a bullet journal, and you can actually like draw. So if you're someone that's like really creative, you could draw out your goals. One thing that I think is important to keep in mind when you're goal setting is to keep in mind about things about long-term goals, short-term goals, and intermediate goals. So like a long-term goal might be something to do with where you see yourself in 10 years or where you see yourself in 5 years. And then those intermediate short-term goals are how you're going to reach that goal. So a good way to kind of keep goals is maybe if you have a journal or you have a page and it's got your big long-term goal at the top, and you can think of other smaller goals that help you reach that goal underneath of it. And like I said, if you like draw it out or write in fun lettering or things of that nature, can make it a lot more fun to complete. Also, like for me, if I don't write it down and if I don't do it right that minute, I'm going to forget. So it's good to have like times when you want to set goals. So maybe like check-ins. So that's why the beginning of the year is really popular for people, because it's easy for our brain to remember like, oh, new year, new goals. So you could kind of set a reminder in your phone or on your calendar, things that at the beginning of the year, you're going to set some goals. And then halfway through, you're going to do a check-in. So if it's a long-term goal, you want to check in on your progress and see where you're at. So for instance, if I have a long-term goal for this year to read 52 books, which would be ridiculous because I'm a slow reader. But if I want to read a book a week and then halfway through, like 6 months through, if I'm not at 26 books, it's probably not realistic I'm going to reach that goal. So it's good to have check-ins. And you can restructure your goal. So if something like wild comes up, like if you have a mental health issue come up or something comes up with your family and that goal is not realistic, they're your goals. You can change them. So for instance, if I said I was going to run 5 races this year and in the middle of the year I break my leg, I'm probably not going to get to 5 races, but it might still be likely I could get to 2. And it's my goal, so I can kind of tweak that if I want. So that's a good way to kind of keep goals, keep yourself checked in, and keep yourself motivated about the goal. Scholarship site recommendations. So this is a great question. I get this question a lot. A few that I really like to use are FastWeb, College Greenlight, Scholarships 360, Scholarship Owl. If you're in the Kansas City area or if you went to high school in the Kansas City area, Greater Kansas City Community Foundation is going to be a great one, as well as the Kauffman Foundation. If you're on the St. Louis side, you might try somewhere. I think there is a St. Louis Community Foundation also. My Scholarship Central is a great one. And actually, My Scholarship Central also has scholarships for the whole state of Missouri. So if you go there, you can actually click on your region and it'll show scholarships in that area. Niche.com is also another good national website. So those are a few. Hopefully some of those will be helpful for you. I would mix your scholarships with some quick ones. So some that are just easy national scholarships to fill out. I think Taco Bell still has like a national Live Más scholarship or something, but it's like you just go online and you just have to type something in. Those kind of scholarships mix with those, but then also you want to do some that are essay based and more local based. Those are going to be a little bit more likely for you to achieve because they'll be pulling from a smaller pool of candidates. Always check if you're at a college, your college's financial aid office to see what scholarships they might suggest or what resources they have, because they'll know more about the resources in their area and be more tied in. But those are 2 great questions. Does anyone else have any other questions for me?